My stepmother unintentionally ruined the bridal gown my deceased mother had preserved for my future nuptials. When she requested to use my seaside cabin for her milestone anniversary, I consented. Then I overlooked informing her about the wastewater overflow I'd been aware of. Her idyllic event turned out to be utterly immersed in filth. My mother succumbed to illness when I was a teenager. Prior to her passing, she urged my Aunt Beatrice to safeguard her matrimonial attire for my special day. It was an exquisite retro gown from the late 80s, adorned with intricate embroidery and minuscule beads she'd meticulously attached by hand. I keep a single snapshot on my smartphone of her spinning gracefully in it, radiating pure joy. That image has served as my home screen for ages. Whenever I glance at it, it evokes her words about items crafted with affection, where the devotion resonates in each seam. She dedicated half a year affixing those beads individually, all while viewing episodes of Seinfeld on our outdated cassette players. My father wedded Victoria 2 years following mother's demise. She's, to put it mildly, perpetually striving excessively to embody the ideal spouse and parent, all while subtly implying her superiority over my mother's efforts. She adores sharing curated family snapshots on her social media, often with captions extolling the virtues of merged households and surrogate parenting roles, despite my repeated discomfort with her adopting such labels. During last year's holiday feast, she even produced a short video clip on her app about mending fractured kinships, incorporating our images without seeking approval. I discovered it via a message from my university housemate. Recently, I became betrothed to Ethan. Upon sharing the news with relatives, Victoria promptly began curating our ceremony on her inspiration boards, ignoring my preference for a modest and intimate affair. She assembled an entire collection titled Contemporary Fiancé, Contemporary Existence, and distributed it across her online community of fellow parents. But fine, I managed that annoyance. What I couldn't tolerate was her subsequent action. The garment was housed at my mother's closest companion Leela's residence, archived in a specialized protective container. The day before, Victoria volunteered to retrieve it since she was nearby and transport it to my place. I was video chatting with my confidant Sophia when Victoria showed up, hauling the container as if it were everyday shopping. She placed it on my countertop, beside an uncapped flask of Merlot. I recall pondering how odd that seemed, given Victoria avoids Merlot altogether. She's forever preaching about sticking to Rosé for its purity. Then she demanded to unveil the contents immediately, disregarding my suggestion to postpone until my aunt could join us for a formal reveal. You can likely predict the ensuing mishap. While clumsily extracting the gown, her arm inadvertently toppled the flask. The contents drenched the fabric entirely, yet her demeanor is what truly unsettled me. She showed no alarm. She made no haste to dab or rinse it. She paused briefly with a peculiar faint grin before launching into her theatrical lamentation. It echoed those amateurish performance clips online where individuals simulate responses for fraudulent claims. I remained connected via video with Sophia, who witnessed everything. She insists she observed Victoria's fingers inching toward the flask prior to its tumble, though the feed's clarity was subpar, leaving room for doubt. Sophia promptly captured the exchange on her device, sensing an undercurrent of unease. I phoned my father in tears, and his reply was predictable. "Sweetheart, it was merely a mishap. Victoria is devastated. We'll acquire whatever gown you desire." He fails to grasp it's not merely the attire at stake. It's the final tangible link to my mother for my ceremony. This morning, Victoria had the gall to forward me a hyperlink to a $250 off-the-rack option from a chain bridal shop, accompanied by a note. "This would suit you far more elegantly regardless." She then shared an extended social media entry about mishaps serving a purpose, and how releasing the past allows welcoming the future. She included my handle, but I restricted her access before viewing reactions. Then she brazenly inquired if she and father might borrow my coastal retreat for their commemorative event next month. She realizes it's the sole legacy from my mother's lineage. It's a quaint seaside bungalow bequeathed by my grandparents on her side, and Victoria has persistently pressured me to offload it since tying the knot with father. She once had an associate agent mistakenly advertise it publicly. I responded, absolutely, by all means, with a grin she'd approve of. What Victoria remains unaware of is my recent notification from the maintenance worker, Marcus, regarding a major plumbing crisis requiring attention. He forwarded images and thorough notes via messaging app illustrating the defects. I've simply lacked the opportunity to address it so far. And truthfully, I may remain preoccupied enough to omit disclosing it prior to her grand affair. She's already showcasing her flawless seaside commemoration on her profile, featuring leased decor and a contracted shutterbug. Initial follow-up, appreciating the encouragement from my previous share. It truly aided in navigating the recent turmoil. I've been reluctant to share this progression, as I needed full certainty on my discoveries. So here's the sequence since that entry. Post my prior account, Leela, mother's ally holding the gown, contacted me appearing quite uneasy. She mentioned scrutinizing her entryway surveillance from that occasion, as a nagging doubt lingered. It revealed Victoria hadn't merely arrived once for collection. The lens recorded her cruising by Leela's abode near 8:15 a.m., looping the street thrice. Leela only registered it due to a neighbor's alert about a vehicle lingering unusually near their properties. She dismissed it initially. When Victoria returned at 2:15 p.m. for the genuine retrieval, she carried a discount store sack. It's no ironclad proof of malice, but observing her deliberately shifting an item from the sack to her handbag prior to pressing the chime just seems off. The footage grows more deliberate with each review. My half-sibling Mia has been relaying snippets via messages, though she's wary of entanglement. She noted Victoria's odd preoccupation with my betrothal reveal, poring over matrimonial sites for hours even prior to my mention of utilizing mother's gown. I intended no pursuit of my hunches until coffee with Aunt Beatrice yesterday. She arrived with father's vintage computer, which she'd used for their fiscal filings. She's assisted with their accounts since mother's departure. She aimed to reveal a find amid sorting their invoices. There existed a discount store transaction from the dawn of the episode. The lineup included a flask of Merlot, precisely the variety that soaked through, assorted scrubbing materials, and a sheet of protective sheeting for home projects. Victoria typically selects only Rosé. She's vocal about Merlot blemishing her costly dental work. The log marked 6:30 a.m. Upon presenting father with the discount store slip, he fell profoundly silent. Not enraged, merely hushed. He fidgeted with his matrimonial band, the original one, which he dons on his alternate finger. At length, he murmured, "I resisted acknowledging it earlier, but a recurring motif exists. I possess the captured feed Sophia obtained amid our video session, yet the resolution is inadequate for conclusive validation. Nonetheless, I'm archiving it alongside the remaining records." He recounted how the prior year's inadvertent contribution of mother's recipe volumes wasn't inadvertent. He'd located them in the storage area, crated and marked for giveaway, days before Victoria asserted she, erroneously, bundled them with the benevolence haul. He withheld comment then, assuming perhaps I'd overlook their absence. The dialogue with father weighed heavily. He shed no tears nor issued fervent vows. He merely gazed at his palms and uttered, "I've erred gravely, haven't I? I permitted this." It stung deeper than any outburst or sentiment. In the interim, Victoria behaves as if unfazed. She persists in dispatching hyperlinks to alternative gowns, each paired with a note on how it aligns better with your essence than mother's antiquated piece. The coastal retreat matter looms persistently. She's established an online invitation for their milestone festivity. Over 30 confirmations thus far, with additional responses pending. She continually broadcasts her impeccable seaside escape, spotlighting vendor tags in her feed highlights. Yesterday, she dispatched an extensive note on seating layouts and queried if the property boasts sufficient facilities for attendees. I haven't yet referenced Marcus's disclosure on the waste management setup. The clip he relayed last week depicts escalation. You observe fluid accumulation in the grounds post-shower. He advised remediation before sizable assemblies, but I continually defer mentioning it during Victoria's outreach. Mia has been lingering at companions' residences more frequently. She describes the household vibe as increasingly strained. Victoria's been excessively affectionate toward her, procuring lavish items online and proposing pampering outings. Mia suspects an effort to silence her on unspecified matters, though uncertain. The garment conservation expert responded today. They observed the Merlot blemish as exceptionally focused in a single zone, suggestive of deliberate application over accidental spill. They further detected minor tears in the embroidery predating the Merlot event, likely from coarse manipulation while encased. I've been contemplating that final image of mother donning the gown. A subtle bead accent on the cuff, she claimed, required 4 evenings to affix amid classic sitcom marathons. That segment's utterly eroded from the Merlot. It seems deliberate, doesn't it? Revision. Many inquire on my intentions for the coastal festivity. Candidly, I'll permit events to unfold organically. The waist setup remains as is. Revision 2. Regarding the gown queries, indeed, I'm retaining the expert's records. No, litigation isn't on the horizon. Certain matters resolve independently. Revision 3. Father messaged requesting a visit tomorrow. He mentions unearthing vintage snapshots of mother for my keeping. Perhaps he's at last prepared for substantive discourse. Subsequent follow-up. Grateful for the check-ins. Considerable developments this week prompted this coastal retreat briefing. Thus, current status. Victoria's orchestrating what she terms a cozy assembly, yet her roster has expanded to 35 attendees. She messaged this morning on parking capacity, driveway accommodation, and facility adequacy. 2 facilities correct. Sufficient. I repeatedly consider alerting on the waste apparatus. Marcus, my steadfast repairman, relayed another note yesterday with a snapshot of the rear grounds following precipitation. You discern unnatural puddling. And he noted the odor intensifying. His verbatim relay, hi, circling back on that waste appraisal, urgently requires intervention pre-major events, worsening via showers. Marcus clarified that although the waste apparatus harbors persistent flaws, they amplify markedly in wet conditions and would prove disastrous under intense utilization from a sizable crowd. Father visited yesterday. He's been subdued since the gown fiasco, devoting additional hours at the prior shared dwelling with Mother pre-Victoria. He perched at my prep surface, perusing archived coastal retreat images from a cabinet. Recall the faucet failure that summer, he reminisced. Your mother improvised with the exterior spigot for days, declared it an adventure. Then his expression shifted and he queried any concerns with the property, for the festivity. I merely elevated my shoulders and assured all was well. He regarded me briefly, then inclined his head deliberately. I suspect he senses irregularity, yet avoids probing outright. Mia's forwarding progress on Victoria's setups. Routine festivity elements, nothing extreme. She procured adornments online. Festoon bulbs, coastal motif displays, and she's engaging a nearby eatery for provisions. Mia shared an image of the festivity goods arrayed on their meal surface. Mother's surprisingly composed about it, she noted. Nearly evokes remorse for potential outcomes. Nearly. The peculiar aspect is Victoria's recent demeanor toward me. She's exerting considerable effort to appear cordial, relaying offhand notes on festivity blueprints, soliciting my input on minor aspects as if involving me. Yesterday, she even conveyed hopes for my attendance to partake. It might seem authentic if not for that fleeting smirk as the Merlot-drenched mother's gown. I reviewed her social profile via Mia's login, as she curtailed my access post-gown episode. She's maintaining subtlety. Merely a handful of entries anticipating a splendid observance, laced with coastal icons. No excess fanfare which heightens my wariness. Marcus relayed fresh intelligence this morning. The waste firm provided a repair quote. Costly, yet that's secondary. They stressed prompt action, particularly under strain. He relayed a snapshot depicting subtle subsidence adjacent to the reservoir. His note was unequivocal. This spells trouble for 30-plus attendees. I habitually reach for my device to caution Victoria, but then recollections surface, such as her inadvertent surrender of Mother's culinary guides last year, or Mother's adornments vanishing amid Victoria's tidying sprees, or that contented expression as the Merlot targeted the gown's most vulnerable spots. Mia visited for brew this morning. She assisted Victoria in bundling festivity items and unearthed the Merlot flask invoice in Victoria's satchel. Odd detail. She remarked, Mother shuns Merlot, claims it mars her smile, yet procured that flask the dawn before fetching the gown. The festivities this weekend. Victoria messaged querying if I might secure the entry key externally Friday for premature preparations. She aims to position furnishings and establish a beverage outpost by the lower facility. I affirmed succinctly, certainly, seamless and silenced alerts. The waste concern isn't attributable to me. I didn't impair it. I didn't exacerbate it. Merely ill-timed occurrence presently. That's my recurring self-assurance. Revision. Mia forwarded an image of Victoria's festivity ensemble. Entirely ivory, naturally. Tertiary follow-up. Thus, the coastal retreat festivity transpired yesterday, aligning precisely with forecasts, albeit the repercussions exceeded my projections. I passed nearby midday as arrivals commenced. Standard arrangement. Ivory seating, blooms, provision stations. Victoria donned a lavish ivory ensemble, orchestrating placements. The glitch emerged gradually. Mia relayed near 1:15, foul aroma in the rear grounds. Mother's irked. Subsequently, lower facility resists flushing adequately. By 1:45, both facilities malfunctioned. Attendees queried the scent repeatedly. Yet Victoria endeavored poise, attributing it to tidal ebb. Circa 2:15, my adjacent resident phoned, anomaly in your grounds. Fluids surfacing broadly. Mia's relays accelerated. Terrains excessively yielding. Mother's berating provision crew as folks request their transport's facilities. Then collapse ensued amid their pledge. The terrain's saturation caused a deck segment to subside. Not spectacularly, but sufficiently to upend the repast station. Their milestone confections slid into the sludge. That's when Victoria trod what she deemed damp turf and submerged midcalf in muck. In her ivory ensemble. before her full acquaintance network. Departures accelerated post that, not hysterically but with that uneasy glance-at-the-clock vibe. The stench proved inescapable and moist patches proliferated. Here's the escalation. Victoria unraveled utterly. Began shrieking I'd intentionally undermined her affair, that I'd orchestrated the ordeal. She dialed contacts from her device amid the grounds, desperately seeking counsel-available weekends, all while mired in her despoiled attire. Cosmetics streaking. Father's response deviated from anticipated restraint. He erupted, toward me and Victoria alike, ranted on remediation expenses. How imprudent all behaved. He oscillated between ire at the waste apparatus and interrogating why Victoria scheduled such scale sans upkeep inquiries. Mia captured segments on her device. Victoria howling on litigation and slander. Father decrying asset harm. Attendees hastening from the approach. Utter disarray. I've fielded roughly 30 dispatches from Victoria since yesterday, spanning intimidation to manipulation to outright fury. You schemed this. Council will address it. You've demolished all, echoing your mother. Perpetually the aggrieved. Father's outreach persists unceasingly, less contemplative now, chiefly fixated on outlay and phrasing like I scarcely discern allegiances here. And you're both regressing immaturely. He's quartered at his siblings as Victoria remains too incensed to regard him for neutrality. The detriment's tangible. The grounds are ravaged. The lower flooring's irreparable. And the waste apparatus demands overhaul. Marcus relayed a quote, substantial. Victoria's solicited our locale's online forum for counsel referrals on asset harm and willful sentimental injury suits. Mia's relayed continual briefs today. Evidently, Victoria's rallied every ally, alleging I maliciously derailed her affair from envy. She summoned 3 varied specialists to chronicle detriment for prospective proceedings. I ultimately restricted Victoria's contact post her final note. Believe you're astute, observe. That coastal retreat eludes you soon amid my legal pursuits. Trust it merited the fallout. Final follow-up. Roughly a month post the waste reservoir calamity at my coastal retreat. I hadn't intended further shares, but sufficient shifts warranted recounting the true resolution. The prompt fallout mirrored expectations. Victoria engaged 3 varied counsels, yet it dissipated swiftly upon their perusal of Marcus's logged alerts on the waste apparatus. Evidently, oversight proprietor assertions falter when hosting 35 without rudimentary upkeep probes. Remediation outlays were severe, circa $22,000 for the fresh waste apparatus, plus $2,500 for grounds restoration and flooring renewal. Coverage offset portions post my contribution, but it's a major dent to reserves. Father proposed cost-sharing, sparking a massive clash with Victoria.